Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited, and as always, we are working on your financial freedom. Hey, first and foremost, Happy New Year. My first show of the year. Welcome you to 2021. And of course, good riddance. Goodbye. So long, 2020. So good news. Yeah, we've made it. We've rolled into a new year. I think everyone's happy about that. A new start, right? Of course, I got to ask you, did you look back? Did you do a year-end review? Did you look at your goals for 2020? Yeah, I get it. I get it. 2020 was a disaster, but I'll tell you, we did that. We looked back, my wife and I, and we did hit some of our goals, not all. And I'd say in percentage terms, nothing like we did in 2019 or the year or two before that. But we did hit enough of those that I'm happy. I'm happy with our continued forward progress. All things considered. So some personal goals achieved, fitness goals, and of course business and real estate investing goals, and that is the purpose of this show, is to talk about real estate investing. So I'll tell you what, for you personally, it's a good thing if you haven't done it already. Go ahead and look backwards and see, find some of the successes that you did have, because you're going to be able to take those and build momentum. Successes that you did have in spite of the tough year. If you haven't done it, do it. And of course, this is also a great time to set goals for the coming year, for 2021. Now, hopefully you've already done that. Late December is a good time to reflect backwards and then look forwards. But if you haven't done it yet, that's okay. We're just the third day into the new year, so we've got some time to figure that out. In fact, get a pen and paper out. If you've been thinking about buying, right, thinking about getting into your first single-family rental house, right, getting your first income-producing property, we're going to take a look at the general process, right? I'm going to walk through that and maybe give you some goals that you can set for yourself to be sure and move the ball forward towards that goal, towards getting that first house and maybe more in 2021. Okay, now let's take just quickly a really upper level view at what the single family investment track might look like for you. Okay, so you've been putting it off, right? You've been thinking about it. You've been listening to the program, looking at other websites, reading articles about investing in real estate, right? But you haven't yet taken down that first house. But here's what's going to happen. You're finally going to do it. You're going to do it this year. House number one. And you're going to look back and you're going to realize how easy that was. You're going to wonder, why did I wait so long? Why did I wait to get started? You're going to see the cash flow. You're going to see that cash flow. You're going to realize it hitting your pocket every month, and you're going to want more. I mean, we're pulling in anywhere from a few $100s in net cash flow to our pocket every month to as much as $600, even more. I actually got a deal. I printed this one out to bring to the show today. I got a blast from one of our realty team down in Houston. Expected cash flow on this deal, $693 a month. That is great. I would love that deal in my pocket right now. So house number one, you're going to get there. You're going to realize how easy it was, and you're going to be like, why did I do it sooner, right? And you're going to keep moving. Next house, number two, number three, number four, number five. Look, you've found the rhythm now. You've found the flow of this thing, and it's getting easier, and it's getting easier. Plus that cash flow that's coming in every month as you add each house to your portfolio, that cash flow snowball, we call it, it's helping you to speed up. So on average here, 200 to 600, on average, we see about $400 in net cash flow on our rental houses here in Texas. So at house number 5, boom, you're pulling in $2,000, $2,000 a month to your bottom line. So you breathe a little easier. You can maybe pay down some debt, improve your debt to income ratio, or you keep buying houses. That's what you do. You keep buying houses, double digits. Before you know it, you've hit number 10. Now, I know that sounds impossible now, since you haven't even bought house number 1, but I'm telling you, you'll get there. We did it. And when you do, boom, $4,000 a month coming in the door. Freedom right there. Double digits, number 15, $6,000 a month coming in the door. Boom, double digits. 20 units, 20 houses, $8,000 or more a month coming in the door. What do? You keep buying houses. Or do you divest and get into multifamily? Or do you do both, right? You've got a lot of options at this point. But it all starts with house number one. I know 15, 20 houses, that seems daunting, but I'm here to tell you can do it. We did it. You can do it too. But it starts with that first house. Okay. All right. I hear you, Andy, but where do I get started? Look, if you're asking yourself that very question, well, maybe the first goal that you set for yourself for 2021 is to get properly educated. Because if you don't know where to start, that's where you start, with the education. Among other things, keep listening to this program and our other hosts, Mike Harrison, also on the air on Sundays, Al Gordon during the week, David Ruzicka on Saturday. Del Walmsley does the Del Walmsley radio show throughout the week as well. Continue to listen and go out to the website, lifestylesunlimited.com, and listen to the podcast. We have those archived from years back, right? That's a place to start. Get out to the free workshop, right? You can learn more about what we do at Lifestyles Unlimited, the 5 ways that we make money from real estate, the 7 rules to managing our lifestyle, our family, our business, all at our free workshop. You can check that out at freeworkshoplivestream.com or become a member. Come join us as Financial Freedom Program members. I'm going to mention a lot about team today. And a lot of the team that you're going to need to build, you can find on our vendor hub, and you gain access to that as a Financial Freedom Program member. And you can learn more about that if you go to financialfreedomlivestream.com. We have a 2-day seminar that we do, 1 day devoted fully to single family, which we're going to be focused on today, and 1 day devoted fully to apartment investing. That Financial Freedom Seminar, commonly called the 2-day seminar, is also part of that membership. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not mention one of my favorite events that is in the planning. I'm talking about the Lifestyles Unlimited Wealth and Passive Income Expo that will be in Houston, again, at the George R. Brown Center, scheduled for the last couple of days of April as well as May 1st. That's 3 days that it will be chock full of education and inspiration. But the biggest point of all is if you're asking yourself, well, where do I start? Clearly, that tells me start with the education, right? Start working on and then continue throughout your career working on that education. And remember, as I said, real estate investing is a team sport. You're not going to do this by yourself. So a big part of today's show, I want to help you identify the team that you're going to need to build around you. As we work through the show, identify any of those team members that you're missing and set concrete goals to get them on your team this month in January so you're ready to roll. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We'll be right back.
We're back with the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. We're here to answer your questions and help you become financially free.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb, and today on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, we're kind of taking a parallel track here. I want to talk a little bit about setting some goals, and I also want to talk about building your team. And I want you to sit down with a pen and paper if you haven't done this already. If you have not bought your first house, if you don't know who's on your team, we're going to identify who you need to put together. And we're going to do that by following the general process of buying a single family house, identifying a house, making the offer, getting the thing under contract, right? Doing our due diligence, working with a lender, hurrah, closing, right? And then getting the renovations done, the refinance done, and getting a renter in there. Now, if you have questions today, the number here in the studio, it's 855-497-4335. Again, 855-497-4335. Or feel free to send me an email if you're feeling shy. That's askandy@luinc.com. I do check those throughout the show and afterwards as well. That's askandy@luinc.com. So we're talking about, if you're just getting started, you don't know where to start. Well, where do you need to start? With education? Okay. We're going to talk about goal setting as well, and then we're going to get into that process. Let's talk about goals in particular. Actually, when you set a goal, right? Maybe you did some New Year's resolutions right at the end of the last hour of December 31st, 2020, and they were just kind of nebulous. You need to be anything but nebulous. You need to be very specific. You need to set SMART goals, okay? And that is an acronym, SMART. It means specific. It means measurable. I can check the box when I've done this thing, right? I can actually count the number of things I've done that I plan to do. Attainable, right? Realistic and time bound. I think that last one's extremely important. It gives a sense of urgency. So as we talk through the show today, and as you write down, hey, that's a good point, Andy. I totally miss getting that person on my team. Set a goal, get it done by January 31st, right? February 28th, whatever. Are we in a leap year or not? Don't know yet. But set a very concrete time, okay, so that you have that sense of urgency. Write those down. Write them down. If you can, find an accountability partner, maybe somebody that's doing this as well, that's new, getting started as well. And then make sure that you put these goals in a visible place. Visit them, revisit them often, track your progress. And it's good if you have a very complicated, maybe longer term goal, break that down into sub pieces like tranches, right? Sub goals. Every time you check that little sub goal off, you're going to feel a sense of momentum. Okay. So set some hard ones, set some lighter weight ones as well. And I'm going to give you a first goal, because if you have not yet gotten that education, what I want you to do is go to freeworkshoplivestream.com, learn about lifestyles, learn about getting started in real estate investing. It's that simple. We've got those coming up live and online. We've got 4 of those in the first 2 weeks of this month. So very easy to get that done by the end of the month. So check out that website, freeworkshoplivestream.com. Now, thinking about the process, we want to get out there. We want to find a house. We want to buy a house. We want to get it rented. We want to start collecting that cash flow. But before you start beating the pavement, and before you waste a lot of your time and their time talking to realtors and the other folks that can help you find a property, I want you to sit down and give some really deep thinking to your investing criteria. I want you to have an elevator pitch. When you finally call that first realtor and tell them, they're going to ask you, what are you looking for? Where are you looking? You need to have answers. You need to be very specific, have that elevator pitch. So ask yourselves the following questions. Number 1, are you focused on cash flow or wealth building? Maybe you're in a great job that you love, that you don't want to retire in 5 years or less like we do at Lifestyles. That's fine. Keep working. Enjoy that cash flow from that job. Or maybe your goal then is to build net worth, to build wealth. If you've got cash flow already, maybe you own a business, then apartments might actually be the better route for you to go. Apartments enjoy something called forced appreciation that we don't have on the single family side, where we can pull a couple levers, increase the cash flow, and really drive the wealth. We get the cash flow as well. Don't get me wrong. We like the cash flow. But apartments are great for that wealth building. But on the single family house side as well, you'll find some that drive greater cash flow, like the example I just gave you. $693 a month net into my pocket if I take down this deal. That is cash flow. It's a newer build, not a huge spread, so not as much equity. So I'm not going to capture as much net worth, as much equity on that particular deal. I've got another one, countervailing deal. This was in San Antonio. It's going to cash flow about $385 a month, but it's got some equity that's going to come along with that. So you need to understand, what is it I'm looking for? Kind of, I guess, alongside that, you're going to ask yourself as well, what kind of cash on cash return? Cash on cash is the annualized cash flow. So that 693 that I talked about times 12 divided by the amount of cash you put into the deal. Now, this happens to be a straight conventional deal. That's why there's little equity. Estimated out of pocket's about $35,000. You're not messing with hard money. You're just going straight into the deal. So your equity captured is a little bit minimal. On the other deal, you're getting a 41% return on capital gain. Your capital gain, you're going to take that capital that equity that you've captured as part of that full process of buying, fixing, and then refining. You're going to divide that by your cash into the deal. That's going to give you a return on capital gain. Again, here, you're kind of answering the question, cash flow or wealth building. What sort of cash on cash return do I want to see? What sort of return on capital gain? What area do you want to target? I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth. The deals I'm just looking at here with you, one's in Houston, one's in San Antonio. Do I want to go that far afield? Sure. Why not? We've got the infrastructure at Lifestyle's not a problem. What about you? If you're in Dallas-Fort Worth, do you want to just stick in Tarrant County? Do you want to stick in Dallas County? Do you want to go to Denton County? Do you want to focus on a city? Do you want to focus on the Metroplex? Do you want to go all the way out to Terrell? Maybe Tyler, maybe Longview, right? What sort of coverage do you want to have with your investing? What type of house? Our bread and butter house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Do we deviate? Sure. 4-bedroom. Maybe it's got a converted garage with a carport. I've got a few of those, no problem. Square footage, what do you want? 1,000, 2,000, somewhere in between. 1,500 is kind of the sweet spot, right? Somewhere within that range is pretty good. Pool, no pool. I'd recommend no pool, and so on and so forth. What about the age of the house and how much rehab? What level of renovation are you comfortable with? You want to take it down to the studs, or do you want something that's more or less rent ready? We have two examples here, one that is rent ready and one that's going to need some work. So sit down, and by the end of this month, January 31st, I want you to have that figured out. What is my box? Am I buying? Okay, that's the first goal that I have for you. I want you to figure this out. Think about your investing criteria and commit those to paper. Once you have this, right? Once you have this, now is the time to start communicating that to other people. Those realtors that are going to be out there finding the deal for you. Wholesalers. A wholesaler is somebody that markets broadly to the public. I get calls from these people all the time, texts, emails, right? Wanting to buy my houses. They get those things under contract and then they sell the contract to you. Okay. Just know they're out there. Handle with care. Okay. If you try to work with a wholesaler directly yourself, but these are the people you want to be able to communicate your investing criteria to. So now thinking about the process again, kind of gave you an overview. We're going to try to find that first house. And the first thing we need to do is identify, find that box that meets our criteria. Make the offer, get it under contract. And as part of that process, who do we need to have on our team? Well, a good realtor. I just mentioned that. Now, I got the question just the other day. Should I be a realtor should I get my license before I start investing? No, I would tell you absolutely not. In fact, we went a good 5-6 years before I finally, for other reasons, unrelated, said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get my realtor license, but you do not need to do it. In fact, I'd encourage you not to. Don't waste a lot of time. It's just another hurdle, another brick in the road that's going to slow you down before you get that first house. So no, you do not need to. It doesn't necessarily help you if you've got good realtors on your team. When we come back, I'll tell you what you want to look for in a realtor, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. This is Andy Webb, and if you have any questions today, the number is 855-497-4335, or send me an email to askandy@luinc.com. So we've talked a little bit about goal setting. You want to set those SMART goals, and we're starting to roll through the process of picking up a single-family house. And as we go through this, if you identify somebody that I mentioned that you should have on your team and you don't, I want you to immediately write down as a goal, a SMART goal, specific. I'm going to find 5 realtors, right? Is that measurable? Absolutely. Check, I've gotten 1. Check, I've gotten 2. Check, I've gotten 5, right? Attainable? Absolutely. Realistic? Absolutely. More importantly, time-bound. Give yourself a deadline. Okay, as we go through this, we're going to walk through the process of picking up a house, identifying, making an offer, getting it under contract, doing that due diligence, working with the lender. There are going to be a lot of people that you need to have on your team, and I see it all the time, on various forums where folks say, hey, I got this house under contract. Does anyone have a good general contractor? What? You should have had that figured out already. That's clearly a person that is not educated prior to getting started. And as far as education, I told you, if you're not sure where to start with the education first and foremost. This radio program is a good place to go. I mentioned the free workshop. If you're totally new, check out our free workshop that we do at Lifestyles Unlimited. You can learn more at lifestylesunlimited.com or go to freeworkshoplivestream.com. If you have a little more experience already, I would tell you to go the fast track and go to our 2-day seminar. Because day 1, we're going to do 8 hours focused on single family. A lot of what we're going to talk about here, we're going to get into even more detail, finding that house. You can learn more about that if you go to financialfreedomlivestream.com. There's a promo code to join. It's Save Big. It's going to give you a massive discount, so check that out. So we're talking about that first team member that we want to find. We've sat down, you've sat down, and you've figured out your investing criteria. What is it that I want? What is it I'm looking to buy? What does my box look like? What is it returning to me? Is it a cash flowing deal? Is it an equity deal? Some of both, right? But the 2 deals I'm looking at, by the way, are both good returns. We see cash on cash returns typically starting somewhere around 8%, 10, 15, 20, 30. Those are all base hits. We've seen much higher. You can get 100% return. Now that's a home run. Maybe you have $5,000 into the deal and it's kicking off $5,000 in cash flow per year, right? Both of these are in the low 20s, 20% cash on cash return. So if that's what you're looking for and these come across your desk, boom, check, hits my criteria. But you need to know what those criteria are. And when you start to have that conversation to build your team with realtors, you need to know what to convey to them. So if you haven't figured that out already, I'm going to drive this home yet again. Sit down and figure out what your investing criteria are. Now, when it comes to that realtor, ideally what you want to find is somebody that has experience working with investors. Not all realtors have. As the market has increased over the past decade, more and more people get into the realtor game. That doesn't mean they have experience. That certainly doesn't mean they've worked with investors and understand the investing model. And our model at Lifestyles Unlimited is very unique. The way that we buy with hard money, fix the place up, and then refinance out. Not all realtors understand that. So ask a lot of questions. Ask if they worked with investors. Ask if they've worked with fixer-uppers, right? Rehab properties. Even better, find a realtor that is an investor. They're going to understand above all else. And of course, our realty team at Lifestyles Unlimited, they get it. They get it. I see so many deals come across from those guys. So your goal in terms of building this team is to find not just one, but find a set of realtors. Okay. I'm going to leave it up to you to set your SMART goals, to put your time-bound element onto that goal, but get it done. So continuing with the process, we found that realtor, we found that house, we're under contract. Now, there are a few things that are going to happen here concurrently. We're going to be working with our lender, first of all, getting that ball going and continuing so we can get to the closing table and doing our due diligence. We want to make sure it is a good deal. We start out with upper level numbers and then we dial it in, right? We dial it in. So let's talk about the lender first and foremost. Now, the model that we typically use here at Lifestyles is finding a distressed asset. We want to capture equity at the outset. That's a safety valve for us. So we want to find those distressed properties, and commonly, if they're distressed enough in terms of disrepair, I can't go and get a conventional loan on it. Now, of these two deals we looked at, one of them, it fully qualifies for conventional. It's a newer build anyhow. That can go straight conventional, but commonly that's not the case. So we need to use a good hard money lender. They're not so concerned about the condition. They're looking at our vision and loaning based on what we expect that product to look like at the end of the repairs. So they're gonna lend to us. We're gonna use a hard money as a lender, as I mentioned, due to condition of property. Also, sometimes due to speed, we have to close fast. A conventional lender is going to take 30, maybe 45 days. Hard money lender, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. How fast do you need to go? And of course, very, very pivotal here. If you don't have just a ton of capital to work with, following the hard money process, renovate and then refinance, even though you've got 2 closes in there, you're going to have less cash out of pocket into this deal. That's something else you want to think about when you do your investing criteria. How much cash do you want to have into any given deal? Set that number. That'll be your lodestone. Once you start to think about the process, once you get that deal under contract, you're going to send that contract over to your hard money lender so they can start the process. Now, for you, if you don't have a hard money lender on your team, now's the time to start interviewing them. Ask what their fee schedule looks like. How many points do they charge for the loan? Origination points. What sort of interest rate? How long is the term? They're all pretty much in the same sort of bandwidth, but ask about their process and ask if you need to be pre-qualified. And if you do it. Get it done. And if you are a member at Lifestyles Unlimited, if you are part of the Financial Freedom Program, go out to the vendor hub, you know what I'm talking about, and find the list, start calling them. You can read the reviews that other members have left. That'll give you the best foot up right there. So your goal in terms of hard money lenders, if you don't have one at your side already, interview them. 3 of them. Let's just say 3. It's a good number. By the end of this month, right? You set your timeline, of course, but there's no reason not to have that done in the next few weeks. Now, we said we've got the deal, the house under contract. We've now given the contract to our hard money lender and title company to start that closing process. Parallel to that, I need to do my due diligence. You need to do your due diligence. First person you want to send out there, you want to send out actually a couple of them. You want to get your general contractor. We'll talk about contractors here in a second. But you also want to have an inspector on your team. Always, always, always get a home inspection. I don't care what you think you know about houses or construction. You grew up and your dad was doing it, or your mom or whoever. Get an extra set of eyes on the property. Every time I walk it, I see a lot. I send my general contractor out there. He sees a lot. I send my inspector out there. He or she always uncovers something more because they're going up in the attic. They're going into the crawl space. They're doing a little bit more, and they're there for several hours. I surely am not. My GC, my general contractor, is not either. So get an inspector on your team if you don't have one, and get a backup, and maybe a backup to the backup because they are busy. Talk to other investors. Find out who they are using. Go out to the vendor hub, as I mentioned. So that's your goal. If you don't know who to call to order a home inspection, find out if they work with investors. What I love about the inspectors we use is they understand the Lifestyles model. And after they've done their inspection, I get a phone call. I don't meet them out there. I get a phone call. We very briefly talk through very big ticket items, deal breakers, things that they want to pull my attention to because they know what I want to know. That's what you want to find is an inspector that understands investors. And moving on, as part of the due diligence process, I mentioned contractors. Well, we're still doing our due diligence. We want to confirm our scope of work. We went into this kind of with an idea, right? Maybe you walked the property. Maybe your realtor told you what they think. Maybe you're working with the Lifestyles Realty team. Maybe they told you what they think, but you want to get a contractor out there to firm up that scope of work. Now, part of the scope of work, of course, ties back to your realtor and getting comps. You need to have the vision to develop that property. And that's going to be based on sold comps in the area, the sold comps that you want to market towards, and the lease comps that you want to market towards, right? You want to achieve a certain value when you're done with the process. That's going to come down to matching your property to others in the area. Talk to your realtor to get those comps to help you figure out that scope of work. And of course, if you are a member at Lifestyles, we've got a proprietary software called Quest that allows you to run those yourself. Run those sold comps, run those lease comps so that you can finalize, fine tune your scope of work based on what you see in those comparable properties out there. And when we come back, I want to finalize that list of contractors that you need to get on your team so that if you don't have everyone, you can start figuring that out and get that done so you can get into your first property. Stay tuned.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. This is Andy Webb, and on today, the first show of the year, for me, we're talking through goal setting, and parallel to that, talking about identifying our team as part of the process of picking up a single-family house. Goal setting is important. It really helps you steer yourself, your business, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. You want to always use SMART goals, right? They need to be specific and measurable, attainable, realistic, and in my opinion, time bound is tremendously important. Otherwise, you let things slip, and before you know it, a year like 2020 has just disappeared on you, right? Of course, we wanted that one to disappear, right? But here we are. 2021, and I hope that you are ready to hit the ground running. We let things kind of ease up towards the end of the year. That's common around the holidays, and now's the time to start moving. And I know I've been moving pretty fast through today's show. I want to get that team out there for you. So if you missed anything on today's show is archived. You can go to lifestylesunlimited.com, click on the radio tab, go to the podcast. That will be out there for you. So in terms of building a team, as we work through the process, right, we've got to find the house. We want to make an offer on it and get it under contract. Our realtor is going to help us with that. Find those realtors that are going to help you. Once we're under contract, we're going to do our due diligence. We're going to start working with our lender, typically with a hard money lender. If you don't have one, you need to find one. Find multiple. Right? Get that primary position, get that backup and the backup to the backup. Same with your inspector who's going to help you with your due diligence. Now, as you continue your due diligence, inspector's just one piece of that puzzle. You want to get your contractors out there. Now, typically I work with a general contractor that's going to manage the bulk of the process for us. They're going to take care of the HVAC, the AC and heating, electrical, the plumbing, all of that good stuff. If you want to be the general contractor and manage all those subcontractors yourself, I know people that do that. You can do that. It's going to take some time. And if that's the case, though, then you need to identify those other subcontractors, those other trades as well. Now, my GC, he doesn't do everything, so we've got a foundation company as well. If you don't know who you're going to go to evaluate the foundation, start to give that some thought as well. Most foundation companies here in the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth, down in San Antonio, Houston, they're going to do a free evaluation for you, okay? If you want a second opinion, get another foundation company out there. If you want a third opinion, well, same thing. Or go to an engineer. It's going to cost you a little bit. They're going to be unbiased. Some people get nervous about, well, that foundation company is trying to sell me peers. There may be some out there that are like that. You want to find the ethical companies, right? If you're not sure where to go, we've got a great vendor hub as part of our financial freedom program with any number of foundation companies, general contractors, all of the trades that you need, right? But you're going to want to get them out there and start to get bids. Get multiple GCs out there if you need to, multiple foundation companies. You're going to get different bids, right? You want to compare apples to apples in terms of the scope of work, but hone that scope of work, decide who you want to work with. But above all, make sure that your repairs are within your budget, right? Make sure that as you get those bids back in, that the numbers still work. Right? Earlier in the show, we said you need to sit down and figure out what is your investment criteria. If you don't know what your absolute cash out of pocket is, your cash on cash return, your capital gain return, if you don't know these numbers, well, how do you know if it's a good deal for you or not? You need to know those numbers and then evaluate that deal as you get that fine tuning in terms of scope of work and whatnot, estimates, bids from your contractors. So your goal is to find and interview at least 3 contractors or firms in each of the trades that you foresee needing. I tell you, use a general contractor. If you're working a full-time job, they're going to take so much off your plate. Maybe later on, when you're retired, you take on that project yourself, but use a general contractor. Let them run that for you. Okay. Now, moving on, right? As we go through the process, we want to make sure to keep the loan process going as well. We've done our due diligence. We've given the scope of work to our hard money lender. They know what the house is going to be looking like when it's done. They've gotten the appraisal done. Everything looks good. I talked with one of my hard money lenders actually just the other day, and we were just chatting, and I asked him, in your process, where are the hiccups typically? I'm just curious. And I'm guilty of this as well. They said that the thing that most investors seem to push off far too long and sometimes completely forget about is the insurance. Insurance. Don't wait. You cannot close without proper insurance on the property. So be sure, if you don't have that team member already, to find a good insurance agent or an insurance broker. Now, if you own your own home, you probably have a mortgage on it. You probably have insurance on it. Maybe you love your insurance agent. It's probably a captive agent, meaning they only work with one line. If you love them, great, use them. Talk to them, just like you would interview the realtor. Have they worked with investors? Are they familiar with insuring an investment property? If not, think about using a broker. Think about using a broker for your investments. What they're going to do is broker or shop multiple lines. They're going to have access to numerous carriers. They're going to be able to find you the best policy for the best rate. So it's a good way to go. We use an insurance broker that does all of our houses. We have different lines on different houses. It depends on the location and so on. So one goal I want you to take down now for this week is to go to lifestylesunlimited.com and find the show that I did with Lee from Integrity Personal Insurance. He did a superb job of explaining how insurance for investors works. This was back in September, on the 13th, in fact, September 13th, 2020. He was so good, he got a call from a totally unaffiliated insurance agent out of another city that happened to catch the program and said, "You did such a great job. I've never heard anyone explain it like that." Give that a listen. That'll help you understand insurance. It's not the glamour side of the business, but you want it. You want to mitigate risk. You're going to have it. So another goal then is, of course, evaluate your current insurance agent. See if they have the skill set that you need for managing an investment portfolio. If not, again, like I said, find an insurance broker. So process, moving on. Due diligence checks out. We get to the closing table. Yeah. All right. We're closed. We're funded. Let those general contractors, those other trades know, the foundation company, we're done. Get started, right? Get the rehab, get the renovation started. You already defined the scope of work. You don't need to go back and start thinking about that again. It's defined. Stay with that, right? Don't start changing the vision at this stage. Change orders will slow you down. They're going to cost you money. They're going to derail your project. So stick with that scope of work. And then parallel to this, you're going to be doing the renovations, and you're going to start the refinance process. You've closed with hard money. Now you need to get the repairs done and get out of that hard money into a long-term loan. So parallel to the renovations, we're going to work on the refinance, and we're also going to work on renting that house. You don't have to wait until the work's done. You can start your hunt for that resident right now. So as part of that process, scope of work, that's done. We're not going to worry about the contractors. Let's start thinking about that refinance, getting out of that hard money. Here you're going to need to talk with a different lender. You're going to want to find what I would call a conventional lender, somebody that is going to work with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac backed products to get you into the best rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Right? This is the cheap money. A buddy of mine just closed a house, 2.75%. I don't know where he got that. That is amazing. I think we're seeing usually around maybe in the threes right now, but amazing numbers. But you're going to want to find that lender here too. Interview, right? Find out what their process is, find out what their fees are. And very, very important, be sure to get pre-qualified We're talking through the process of closing on a house. Don't wait till you're closed. Do this beforehand. You need to know what your financial firepower is. Your hard money lender is going to be a little less tied to your debt to income and your income and that sort of thing. But when it comes to refinancing out, that's extremely important. So you want to get pre-qualified with a conventional lender prior to getting to the closing table on that property. What is your financial firepower? How much can you handle? And if you can qualify for the refi side, you'll have no problems qualifying for hard money. In fact, get qualified for conventional lending and then go talk to that hard money lender. A lot of hard money lenders just need to see that pre-qual, in fact, from that conventional lender to qualify you. Now, keep in mind as well, when you talk to these lenders, there are different types, different animals, much like we just heard about a captive agent and an insurance broker, right? There are mortgage bankers. They underwrite. They use their own funds to generate the loan. They're going to be much faster than a mortgage broker typically, but the rates might be a little higher. Mortgage broker, by comparison, they're doing just like that insurance broker. They're shopping the loan. They're talking to who knows how many, 10, 20 different investors or lenders, and they're going to get you the best rate. But it's going to take a little longer. So there are trade-offs there, right? Talk to some mortgage bankers, talk to some mortgage brokers, get a feel for their fees and for the speed, and decide which one you want to work with. And again, if you're a member at Lifestyles, we've got a ton of those for you on the vendor hub. Finally, thinking about the process, right? We're going through the renovations. We've talked to our conventional lender. We've kicked off that refinance. Parallel to that, we're starting to find that resident. Now, here's where I want you to think back to when you sat down and figured out your investing criteria. Did you also think about whether you want to self-manage the property or not? And did you think about whether you want to handle leasing the property or not? You can always outsource the leasing and then self-manage. These are important considerations because obviously if you hire a property manager to manage the process for you, it's going to cost a little more, right? You're going to have a little less cash flow, but it's also going to be more passive for you. So think about that. And also think about back to your goal of finding a realtor or team of realtors. If you want to hand off the lease-up process, be sure one of them can take that on for you and what it's going to cost. If not, well, now you have a new goal. Get out and find that great leasing agent, right? It's as simple as that. I got one final goal for you. I got to get back to the education. If you're still not sure where to start, go to our free workshop. It's an hour and a half. It's free. It's designed to help you understand more about real estate investing. So check that out at freeworkshoplivestream.com, freeworkshoplivestream.com. Hey, you've been listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. This is Andy Webb. Thank you for listening. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.